Just shoot this one. Yeah, but if they won't get died.
Hello, economics students. This is Mr. Clarke, and I've just found a fun new tool on the Screencastify videos that I make. I can write and edit the videos. Very cool. All right. Today we're going to talk about game theory. This is going to be very brief because in the announcement that I'm going to post shortly, I haven't posted it yet, I'm going to link this video and two videos from Mr. AC/DC. One we watched in class, that was the Batman one on game theory, and then he made another one too that you're welcome to check out. When you're finished with those, I want you to try out this 6-question quiz. There's 4 game theory questions and then 2 multiple choice questions. I am going to walk you through the first question. So the first question is a freebie. And then it will be up to you to conquer the rest. So before we get started, you have to understand that game theory involves interdependence between 2 firms. So in this example, we have Pepsi and Coke, and this does happen quite a bit in real life. We've talked about that in class, how some firms will base their decisions regarding price and advertisements and menu choices, employees, off the behaviors of their main competitor. You see this a lot with gas stations, with airlines, with car companies, with food, restaurants, fast food. So let's get into it. When there's just 2 main competitors, they exist in what's known as a duopoly. So these game theory payoff matrix that you see here are examples of a duopoly. And when 2 firms agree to set price or supply, that's known as collusion. So let's get into the first one here. You have Pepsi and Coke. The situation here is Pepsi and Coke have to decide whether they want to advertise or not. So I'm going to try and these are the choices for Pepsi. These, look at all the fun I'm having with this, are the choices for Coke. Okay, so Pepsi is the firm on top, Coke is the firm on the left. The choices for Coca-Cola are in blue. The choices for Pepsi are in red. The choices for the firm on top always are the ones on the right. The choices for the firm on the left are always on the left. I'm going to try and switch to a different color here. Okay, so let's start with the choices that Pepsi can make. If Coca-Cola decides to advertise, Pepsi has 2 choices. They can advertise and make $600 or not advertise and make $300. Well, Pepsi is going to advertise. If Coca-Cola decided not to advertise, Pepsi has 2 choices. They can advertise and make $200 or not advertise and make $100. They're going to advertise. So right there, if you have 2 circles in a column, you have a dominant strategy. So right now we have identified the dominant strategy for Pepsi. They're going to advertise. The dominant strategy means this. Regardless of what Coca-Cola, their main competitor, does, Pepsi's going to advertise. Because no matter what Coke does, this is the best strategy for them. They're going to make the most profit by advertising. Now let's go to the decisions for Coke. If Pepsi were to advertise right here, Coke has 2 choices. They could advertise and make $400 or not advertise and make $200. So they're going to make the $400 choice. They're going to advertise. If Pepsi decided to not advertise, Coke has 2 choices. They can make $100 or $200 and not advertise. They are not going to advertise. Now, because Coca-Cola doesn't have 2 circles in a column, or a row, I should say. They don't have 2 circles in a row. They do not have a dominant strategy, meaning that their decisions are going to be based off of what Pepsi does. Because if Pepsi decided to not advertise, Coke's going to Coke isn't going to advertise either. But if Pepsi decided to advertise, Coke is going to advertise. They are going to choose one or the other based off of what Pepsi does. So there is no dominant strategy for Coca-Cola, but there is a dominant strategy for Pepsi. And when Pepsi plays that dominant strategy to advertise, Coke's going to do the same thing. So the Nash equilibrium is to advertise, because the Nash equilibrium is when you have two circles in one quadrant. Okay? So that's the first one for you. You get a freebie. Hopefully that makes sense. I found a fun little toy here that I'm going to play around with a little bit more. And don't you shake your head at me. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a YouTube live session in which we'll go over this. So I'll take any questions you have, and that's about it. All right. Talk to you later.